The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winford Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
In a world where innovation meets tradition, agriculture is evolving like never before. From the latest sustainable farming technologies to age-old practices passed down through generation, agriculture is
precious to me.
I love the animals. I don't mind getting my hands dirty. I love working.
Join us right here on CVM TV every Sunday during news at 7 as we explore the people, the science, and the breakthroughs that are shaping the way we grow, eat, and live. You don't want to miss it. This is Farming Forward.
So, I'm sure you took her to a doctor, and what did he say?
He said that she had a hole in her heart. She's a blue baby.
I thought I would find my papa, but I didn't. I found Uncle Jungly instead.
I will divorce her. It's what you want.
Ganga.
Brought to you by
Hyundai or Hyundai.
The recent disappearance of a university student, Anissa Dilworth, has deeply shaken the nation. It raises questions about the safety of women and girls. But what about the safety and the adequacy of our current security measures on our university campuses? Today, we're talking about safety measures, especially on university campuses. This is Lead Story. Stick with us. Good evening and welcome. You are watching Lead Story. I'm Sondre Roden, and now the last couple of days have been heavy for a number of us. But in case you came in late and you're wondering, what are we talking about? What are you hearing about out there? Well, listen to this short piece and it will get you up to speed.
Heightened concern over student safety now grips two of Jamaica's premier tertiary institutions, the University of Technology UTech and the University of the West Indies UWI, following the disappearance and suspected death of Anissa Dilworth, a first-year pharmaceutical technology student at UTech. Dilworth was reported missing on May 7, sparking widespread appeals from family, friends, and the wider public. Human remains believed to be hers were recently discovered. While forensic confirmation is still pending, the discovery has reignited deep concerns about the adequacy of campus security. Since the start of the year at UWI Mona, for example, students have staged online campaigns calling for a comprehensive overhaul of security infrastructure. Their demands include better lighting on campus grounds, an increased number of security personnel, and installation of more surveillance cameras. The UTech administration says it has already begun reviewing its campus security protocols and will be investing in enhanced surveillance and patrols. In months gone by, UWI Mona has also acknowledged concerns raised by students. Experts say the tragedy highlights a broader issue of gender-based violence and safety vulnerabilities in public spaces across Jamaica. However, students, faculty, and advocates are now pushing for long-term solutions, not only to improve infrastructure, but also to foster a culture of care and vigilance. We discuss on Lead Story. Courtney Lewis for Lead Story.
Thank you, Courtney. Welcome back to Lead Story. We're talking about campus security at two of Jamaica's top universities. You're talking about University of Technology and University of the West Indies. I'm joined in studio by the president of UTech, Dr. Kevin Brown, and on Zoom by the director of the Office of Strategic Planning and Enterprise Management, OSPEM. Welcome, gentlemen. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, and thank you for having me, Mr. Rodan, and let me also acknowledge the President, Dr. Brown.
Yes, that's Dr. Kevin Smith, for those who didn't.
My sympathies to the UTech family for the recent loss, and of course her immediate family as well.
All right, thank you so much. That's Dr. Kevin Smith. Dr. Brown, let's start with you. Now, I assume the current situation has left a lot of students traumatized and afraid. So the most important question that we have right now is the support. How are the students being supported by the administration and leadership at this time?
Thank you for having me on the program. We are in mourning. We are grieving. I am heartbroken by what has happened to our student, more so because of the circumstances surrounding her passing. We have 1,200 staff, 12,000 students at UTech. The entire UTech community is distraught and distressed by what has happened. We are providing as much support as we can through our counseling services, through our chaplains, and we have encouraged staff to share their concerns and grief with close friends, family. Those who are Christians can speak to their pastors. We're trying to encourage staff to practice as much self-care as possible and to express themselves and not to keep everything inside, because it has been a traumatic experience for the entire UTech family. So for us right now, we're trying to provide as much support as possible, but it is certainly a grieving family, a grieving UTech family that we have right now.
Yeah, based on the reports on what has happened, the question I have would be, what steps would have been taken by the university in terms of security based on the recent occurrences?
Well, we have 5 campus locations in Jamaica, the main campus being the Papine campus. And I would say that at the Papine campus, we have invested significant security resources to keep our students safe. We have manned guards, we have closed-circuit TV, we have other technology that we use across the campus. But of the 12,000 students that we have, just under 400 reside on the campus. So the vast majority of our students live off campus.
They're commuting back and forth.
Right, they're commuting students. And Nissa Dilworth, the student we're discussing tonight, she lived off campus. And that's the challenge for UTech. How do we keep our commuting students off campus? And Nissa lived fairly close by. And so we're now looking at a range of possible upgrades to our security provisions. These include perhaps a shuttle service where we will provide a shuttle bus for students. Say for after 9 p.m., a student could request for the shuttle to take them home, especially in communities close by. So most of our students live in Mona, in Gordon Town, in Tavern, and so on. And so we're looking at how much more we could increase our security provisions through a shuttle bus service for students who need to go home at night. And we're looking at a range of other enhancements, including a security app. And we have a very good, reputable computing department, and we're going to see if we can develop an app for our students that they can use. We're also looking at vetting taxi companies.
All right, before I get into that, let me go over to Dr. Smith really quickly. Dr. Smith, not too long ago, University of the West Indies, the students there, they were online asking for stronger security measures. There were even memes, and the calls were great, and it went on for a while. Is that still the call at the University of the West Indies?
Well, thanks for that question. So yes, there was concerns expressed by the students, and certainly the UWI Mona campus responded. There were mixed signals, shall I say, in terms of some of the social media platform announcement. We do recognize that some of the information provided, when you did the validation exercise, some of it were not particularly accurate. But we do recognize the a number of areas that we had to strengthen on. So to provide context, we have 652 acres, a very large, and we are surrounded by several communities. In addition to that, we have 16,000 students, 3,000 staff members, and of course the public at large that certainly would have to enter. So the vastness of the property itself posed itself a challenge. And certainly recognizing the call by the students, had the engagement with them. We had a very robust stakeholder engagement with the students, and we came up with a number of initiatives. So one of the initiatives that we deployed was working with the security provider in having a different approach to the security arrangement that they would provide. So, for example, at the gates, right, vetting of motorists entering. In addition to that, we embarked in having a response team to be part of that engagement to ensure that the response time in the event of an emergency, we would have that. In addition to that, we also had the support of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. So what we have been doing is to see how is it that we can have that engagement with the JCF. And I might just add as well that just recently, 2 months ago, we had onboarded Mr. Marlon Nesbeth. And of course, Marlon Nesbeth is no stranger to this space. And I do not want for it to be said UA and UTEP, but this university town, right? And he is quite familiar with this environment, and he has provided strategic direction where security is concerned.
Yeah,
but fundamentally,
Dr. Smith,
fundamental to all of this is to ensure.
At that point, Dr. Smith, I'm just going to pause a bit there, because the calls, especially as it relates to vetting at the gates, etc., the concerns that have been raised would have been that these campuses are both open campuses. At some points, persons will enter, and there are sometimes that vetting does not occur. So how do we speak to things like digital technology in the security arrangement, particularly in surveillance? Is that something that's active? I want to ask you that, Dr. Smith, and then I want to throw that question to Dr. Brown here in studio as well. So go ahead, Dr. Smith.
Well, thanks very much for that question. And that is where I was actually going, because we have actually started an initiative, a 2-year plan, in how is it that we are going to further enhance the technology component of our security system. So, for example, we have our monitoring station, we have cameras right across, but we recognize that we need to have more technology-driven cameras, license plate readers, facial recognition at our gates. And just recently we got the approval, and we have started the engagement in looking at how it is that we can do that, in addition to additional lights and panic buttons at strategic locations where students can utilize these devices. So yes, we are looking in that direction and looking at it in a very rigorous way.
Dr. Brown? Right,
so similar to my friends at UWI Mona, we're also looking at increasing the use of technology. We have some level of technology on campus at the moment, particularly CCTV cameras. But as was mentioned by my friend from UWI, we want to enhance that by using cameras that can read license plates of vehicles, cameras that can can have the capability for.
Dr. Brown, that sounds high tech, but let me head to a break and we'll come back on that point, because I want to hear a little bit more about what the future will look like in university security surveillance. We're going for a break. We'll be right back with you. It's Lead Story.
serves a home filled with love. When hope meets heart, a new journey begins.
Welcome home, David.
Welcome, David. Make it your own.
Family is built on moments shared.
Go, David, yes!
Every smile and every shared moment connects us with a brighter future. Here, you're not just welcomed, you're family. Foster hope, foster love, foster a child today. Contact the CPFSA for more information.
We're back with you. It's Lead Story, and we've been having this conversation about security on our campuses, the two major campuses. We have Dr. Kevin Brown. He is the head of University of Technology, and of course we have the strategic planning leader over there at the University of the West Indies, Dr. Devon Smith, with us. We have been talking about surveillance a little bit, and I want Dr. Brown to continue on this point of seeing the universities looking at facial recognition, license plate readers when it comes onto cameras at the university. And yes, cameras already exist, but it is, I think, the level of the cameras, Dr. Brown. So tell me a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So, as I was saying before, we are certainly looking at enhancing our security provisions through greater use of technology. So in fact, we've already written an RFP, and so we are in the process of putting that out to tender, because before this tragic incident happened with the student, we already recognized that we need to do more. We have lots of manned guards on campus, but we believe that technology will give us an edge. We're looking at technology that can read the license plates, it can do facial recognition, it can do tracking, and so we are seeking to start that improvement in this fiscal year. It's something that we're committed to, and just waiting now for the tender to go out and for us to find a suitable contractor.
Yeah, so that point, I'm going back to Dr. Smith to say timelines. The universities and the students in particular have always been calling for increased security. I think a couple years ago, if not a year ago, we saw that there was a change as it relates to the University of the West Indies is their own security provider. There's a change in that based on calls. There was increased involvement of the police force, etc. And there are some beefing up of security at the University of the West Indies campus with more vehicles being bought, etc. We saw that coming out in the news a couple of years ago. So based on that, these new plans that you've initiated or stated that would come in train, what timelines are we looking at for those students and those attendees of the University of the West Indies when they're listening to this program? What should they expect?
Right. So similar to what Dr. Brown provided in terms of the activities of the RFP, just about that position that we are at. The University Mona, we have created a fiscal space to commence this activity, and what we are looking at is certainly the first set of installation of some of these initiatives, certainly within the next 6 months. The next 3 months into 6 months that we are looking at doing the installation of some of these new technologies, because as you will appreciate, we would have to go to the RFP, we have to go through the necessary governance bodies in actually ensuring that we can get the necessary approval. But in the interim, what we have certainly have been doing is getting the engagement, the added support of the JCF and the security providers, so that we can ensure that we can respond. So what we are doing is moving from a reactive engagement to a proactive engagement where the security is concerned.
All right, on that point, Dr. Brown, students would have been protesting. It, of course, has been a deeply sad moment for many students. But a question that I know some students will ask themselves now is, how do we get involved? How can students get involved in ensuring that these campuses are safer? So while you do all the surveillance work, the increase in security, etc., how do the students themselves help in ensuring the campuses are safer?
Well, we had a march yesterday, and this was actually organized by the Students' Union, but it certainly had the full support of my team, the leadership team, and the entire university. In fact, I was on the march, and I went on the march, and we marched on Gardentown Road. And in fact, the principal of UWI, Professor Denzel Williams, joined me in solidarity, and he came on the march and he spoke to the students. And so, I would say that for us, it's not just about UTech students. I think all students, especially at tertiary level, we want to ensure we keep them safe. And the students are taking action through ensuring, through a number of mechanisms. I think primarily right now they're focused on raising awareness around their concern that there's too much violence in Jamaica, and in particular violence against women. And so that is something that they have now started a campaign on very strongly. I've also asked them to, make any recommendations they have as to how the university can enhance security protocols. So I'm working with the students as well, and we're taking on board their ideas, and we'll be implementing those that we can implement as soon as possible. But certainly the students have seen this as a priority for them to refocus a range of stakeholders on protecting women in society. That's a key thing for them, and they have my support fully. I'm a father, I have a daughter as well, and I wouldn't like this to happen to her or to any woman out there, because remember, no, we're not just talking about Anissa Dilworth from UTech. We're talking about the nurse that was assaulted. We're talking about the young children recently who were assaulted and one was killed. We're talking about a series of events that indicate that there's a national problem, and my students, especially the Students' Union, have expressed a concern and a determination to ensure that something is done, and so they have started a campaign, and they have my support.
Dr. Smith at the University of the West Indies, the question goes to you as well. How can the students help make the University of West Indies campus safer?
Okay, so one thing that we have been doing, certainly with the Guild Council, is that robust stakeholder engagement. And as I pointed out to you, Mr. Marlon Nesbitt, who is here, and he has been having that type of engagement with the student body. And one thing that is very important here, members, is communication. How to be, as Dr. Brown pointed out, about self-awareness, aware of your surroundings, how to conduct yourself, what are the do's and the don'ts, and these are some of the engagements that we have been having with the students. So much so that these are things that are tracked as KPIs. So apart from even putting in the necessary initiatives, there's that aspect of that monitoring and evaluation of what we say we are going to be doing is what we do. So we embed in these initiatives a monitoring and control evaluation so as to ensure that these activities and these initiatives are carried out. And you'll appreciate that once you implement, and if you do not ensure that it is being monitored properly, then things fall apart. And that is one of the things that we recognize and we're addressing. I just want to highlight a very important element here, if I may, please.
Go ahead.
So I know Mr. Dr. Brown spoke about the matter of the university, UTech and UWI. And in preparing for this interview, one thing that struck me is the engagement between the two institutions. Yes, the principal was there, and if I had the time, I would have been there as well to come out in solidarity and support. But certainly, Dr. Brown, having that engagement between security personnel from your institution as well as here, and not looking at it in terms of a singularity, but looking at it as a university town. And that was some of the conversation I know a few years ago. How is it that we can enhance the university town? Because not only that we have UTech and UA, we have schools and colleges. And I tell you, we have an ecosystem here that we need to ensure that we can protect. So there needs to be that type of conversation, certainly right across the various institutions, how we can protect our kids. And I think now is the time that we really need to have that conversation. And I have no problem in actually initiating the engagement so that we can have this type of conversation.
Well, that is what Lead Story is about. As we heard there from Dr. Smith, we're looking at a whole university community ecosystem engagement, which is something that we're glad was brought to the fore right here on Lead Story. We're out of time, and I'd like to thank both my guests for joining us. That was Dr. Kevin Brown, the president of University of Technology, and Dr. Devon Smith, director of the Office of Strategic Planning Enterprise Management at University of the West Indies. That's all the time we have for Lead Story this evening. But remember, we have Lead Story Prime coming